Sometimes you just have to say, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye. Let me hear you, na 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 na, na 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 na. That's beautiful. Hey, 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 goodbye, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye, na 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 na. Come on, come on, na 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 na. Come on, come on, hey, 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 goodbye.
Hey, my Earmore brothers, back again. This is a recorded. Gotta start doing more of my pre-recordeds. I got a goal. We're doing a certain amount of pre-recordeds per month. So I am behind, but I just want to talk about this postmortem on Kamala Harris and the whole campaign and stuff like that, and just get my thoughts out before I actually go live, because I'm going to go live with this later on. But I just want to get my, I don't know if it's a rant or ramble. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we'll see how it goes. A stream of consciousness. But I just want to say, everything in this campaign and in this election season is as we said it would be, all the way down to the dot and the tittle. The only thing that we probably didn't anticipate that it was going to be quite this close, because I didn't think it would be quite this close. But I didn't anticipate how much money and how much force and how much projection that the DNC, well, not even the DNC, because it's beyond party, that the so-called neocons were put behind trying to keep their agenda alive. And I didn't quite anticipate this amount of pressure. So that's why this election season was closer than it probably should have been. And I want to give a shout out to, believe it or not, Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama, if everything plays out the way that the polls, the election polls say they will play out, then he was 100% right in his assertion that it should have been an open convention and Kamala Harris should not have been the candidate. He says we're probably going to lose anyway. But the thing is, it's more vital to protect the House and the Senate and the down ballot seats rather than trying to hold on to something that we can't hold on to, which is the president's seat. And the other half of the political wing, the Democrats, the Clinton wing of the Democrats, disagreed with him. They thought they had a chance to hold on to the White House and also the seats by projecting their particular candidate, which is Kamala Harris, into this role. Now, Obama knew, or he ascertained and correctly, that Miss Harris was not up to the task. And she proved him and everybody else correct. I'll give a shout out to her campaign managers and her team. They did everything they could to get her across the finish line, and they couldn't. So I think this O'Leary said the same thing. Right horse, wrong jockey. And they were probably correct. The horse that she was mounted on had a chance to win, but it was a wrong jockey on top of that horse. I never thought that she was suited for this position, and she pretty much throughout the whole campaign season proved that she wasn't. Now, I don't know her personally. I don't know what's going on in her personal life. I don't know if she even wanted this position. But the thing is, it didn't seem to fit her. Be that as it may, that is, as they say in marketing, called spilt milk under the bridge. It's gone. So what do we do now? What happens now? Basically, the next wave happens now. Basically, and this is not just here, this is all the way around the world, there is going to be a sea change as much as possible under Trump. Now, what can he exactly do with the cards that he's given? I don't know. Most of the things that he wants to do, he probably can't do. because of should say the damage that the Biden administration has put him in, because the Biden administration did a whole bunch of ad hoc stuff willy-nilly that never got straightened out. I don't think it was well thought out. I don't think it was well planned. And I definitely don't think it was well executed. But we're here now. The economy is listing. Your immigrant crisis, not even crisis, your immigrant problem is out of control. Your debt is out of control. Inflation's out of control. The prices are out of control. Your economy's out of control, like I said, out of control. And we're not even going to get into the geopolitics part of it, because that is such a mess that I'm not even going to do this on YouTube. This is going to have to be completely behind the wall. That's how big of a mess that Donald Trump is going to inherit. Now, maybe with him coming into office, the people, the entities in the foreign and global arena will actually work with him. Hopefully, he can get them to work with him instead of being opposed to him, like with Biden. And hopefully, Trump and Vance can bring back some semblance of structure. And this is something that I never thought I would say, that Donald Trump will come into office and actually bring structure. That's what I had hoped for Biden, because I know Biden knows how to do it. But the thing is, they came in and, they acted more like Trump than Trump, with their disjointed policies and their willy-nilly attitudes about doing something, and maybe their arrogance about thinking that they knew better than the common folks, and no matter what they did, ultimately they would be right. And that arrogance and that blindness that arrogance can bring got us here. I think some of the damage is irreparable. You can't fix some of the stuff that's already gone on. I think the debt is probably irreparable. I think it's something that's going to be with us. That's ultimately something's going to have to happen down the line, probably after Trump's get out of office. It's probably going to land in J.D. Vance's lap, because J.D. Vance is probably going to be your next president after Trump. I wholeheartedly believe that. Unless we get another COVID coming in and wrecking the economy and wrecking the United States, which I highly doubt, because I don't think Fauci is going to be in the D.C. I think he's been basically banished from the D.C. bubble. He's been wished to the cornfield. But unless something like that happens, I think that you're going to see a Trump for 4 years and maybe a Vance for the next 8. So I think you're going to see these two guys for the next 12 years, barring anything extreme. But you can't predict anything. But the thing is, if the roadmap is as I see it, Trump being in, Vance establishing himself, and I don't see anybody actually going up against J.D. Vance in a race. I really don't. Like they said, they're calling J.D. Vance John Wick, and they might be right. They may be correct. But getting back to Kamala Harris, basically she was shoehorned into a spot that she shouldn't have been in. We knew that Biden could not run against Donald Trump with his popularity, with his charisma. Maybe he could run up against a Nikki Haley whose policies are very similar to his. Maybe he could run up against Ron DeSantis. That's possible, which they had targeted. But things he could not run up against a Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the vibe of the working class people, and we knew 3 years ago that I had a funny feeling that the offer they gave Trump to go away, he wouldn't take. I had a funny feeling it's because he's a nihilist, and that's number one. He is a nihilist. He has a huge ego, and I knew that he would be back. And after the bullet, I think he's got a messiah complex now. So we have to see how that plays out. But I knew he was too stubborn to stay away. He was going to prove everybody wrong. And I actually told somebody, I think Donald Trump actually likes this kind of stuff. I told that to Black Guru. Black Guru's run for office a few times, and And I say, I think Donald Trump likes to get in the mud and fight. So this was right up his alley. So they sent him through 3 years of trials. They put a bullet in his ear, and he came out the other side. When they had the debate, we knew it was over. We knew it was over. And Biden would have to step down because they couldn't stop him. And replacing him with Harris is as big a mistake, because I think they probably, if you're going to replace him with Harris, I think they probably should have kept Joe Biden. One thing that Harris can do, she's young enough to still do rallies and stuff like that and stay cogent for more than an hour at a time. The thing is that as far as a politician, she's nowhere near Joe Biden's caliber. She's nowhere near Joe Biden's caliber. And we knew that. I was trying to tell everybody that when she got inserted into this race, and she didn't do a sit down with anybody for 40 days when she should have been, instead of taking 40 days, she should have took 40 minutes. The thing is, she wasn't prepared to do this. They had to coach her up and get her ready to actually go out on their platform, and she didn't have time. If it had been 2 years ago, she would have had time. Take a couple of months, coach yourself up, take some softball interviews, and work your way into shape, okay? She got dropped into the playoffs, and she wasn't ready. And Donald Trump and J.D. Vance could have beat up on her a lot worse than they did, but they didn't. But ultimately, when they actually put her out there on prime time and put the ball in her hand, she dropped it. Almost every single time she dropped it. Her one shining example, two shining examples I'll actually give to you. One is the debate. She actually did very well with a little help. She a little assist from her sorority sister, a little help, but she did well. The second time I thought she did well was with Shannon Sharp. I thought that was very well done. The thing is, it's not enough to actually become president. Maybe to become congressman, maybe senator at the outside, but president, no. And even though the polls that they were showing with Kamala Harris was up 10 points and 50 points or whatever it is, right? I knew the polls were lying because I knew the newspapers were lying. And they were actually hiding all the actual details. The actual internal polls were correct. And that's what they based their campaign on. So I couldn't trust the polls, but I had to trust what the team was doing. If the team was confident, like right after the debate, they wanted to do another debate because they were confident. And she probably did get a surge in the polls, so they actually wanted to do another one. So that's how you can tell what the polls were saying. But after she started doing interviews and sit-downs, it started to sink. And you can see her team getting more and more desperate up until the last few weeks, where they're actually calling Trump a fascist and Hitler and all the other kind of stuff, which is all the slags are actually pointed at it, saying we're going to put black people back in slavery, which black people never believed. It's number one. Number two, it's almost impossible. Number three, those kind of scare tactics don't work anymore, especially with social media. And everything that we said about her and about this campaign and about Joe Biden and about Donald Trump came to pass. Came to pass. Are we going to get credit for it? No. Are we going to get credit for predicting this? No. We're the ones that pointed out and put the connection between the budget, the deficit and the budget and the migrants coming in. Nobody knew why they're letting all these migrants in and give them all this whole batch of money. Okay, because on the surface it didn't make sense until you started looking at the budget and David Schweikert and how the demographics and lack of taxpayers and income into the government didn't match what you're putting out. So you needed more people putting money into the base, especially Social Security, Medicare, and even the general tax base. So you had to have people inputting that. And you actually have to have people. Machines don't pay taxes. So automation is not going to help you with your budget crisis. So you had to import people because white women and black women, American women didn't have enough babies. You've been at a birth deficit in the United States for the last 40 years. And now basically demographic momentum is gone. You have kicked the can down the road as far as you can. And now you're in demographic hell. So the only way to shore up demographic health is to import people. But instead of telling the truth about why you're doing it, you decide to cover it up because you actually wanted to take funds from Peter to actually pay Paul and support Paul and give him a start, which you did. And you denied it. You made it seem like these people just crossing the border willy-nilly and you just not catch them. And you were lying about it. And then we looked at Schweikert and started looking at the FEMA locations where you're actually housing these migrants, especially like in New York City and Chicago and Detroit, other places like that, right? We actually started pointing this stuff out. Nobody did that before. Nobody put one and one together. We had to make one and one make two. So we basically saw that, uncovered that, and during this campaign, they had to start telling the truth. And then the two hurricanes basically blew the lid off of whatever cover they had left, right? The whole rooftop, the whole tarp. And it uncovered that FEMA had been spent $1.5 billion of your money that's supposed to go to help out your people, bring in migrants so they can bolster their fund, their budget. And then we told you right then and there that is the nail in the coffin for the Democrats, but nobody believed me. She still had a chance. Now maybe there'll be some shenanigans with the vote. Maybe they'll be able to go to the swing states, the contested states, and find some ballots someplace stuffed down in the basement to actually get Kamala Harris a win. Anything's possible in this environment, but I doubt it. But in the words of Dennis Green, to paraphrase him, she is who we thought she was. She is who we thought she was. But we didn't let her off the hook. We did not let her off the hook. And everything that we said was going to happen, happened. You couldn't take him out. He was going to beat you. You didn't take him out, even down to the earshot. And guess what? He beat you. Now it's too late. Now we have to see what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have for us. And hope that it's going to be much better than what we had the last 4 years. Anyhow, that's all I got for my little ramble on the postmortem of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I'll be going live and we can kick it there. Maybe if it gets good enough, just like everybody else, I'll throw in another one where people can come up and we actually talk about the postmortem. Because I'm sure everybody got opinions. And a lot of people, Guy Incognito especially, are feeling kind of salty about this. I was listening to my brother, he's salty. And as an aside, and this is funny because my grandson, who knows nothing about politics, was telling me, say, Grandpa, can you believe that the orange man actually won? He was actually ready to vote for the dead body too. He has no idea what politics mean. But anyhow, that's all I got for now, you guys. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.